Have you seen the price of eggs lately? Yikes.
Up.
Wow.
Way up.
In fact, a market price on eggs is something like $8 a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
But a number of stores have decided we're going to actually sell these at a loss so that we can advertise cheaper egg prices.
Yeah, cheaper, like $5 a dozen.
Which is still more than double what it was even last December, right?
Yeah. Like in 2022 also, they used to be like $2 a dozen.
They haven't been under $3 since 2022, which is crazy because you asked me, I think last week in one of our volleys, you said, how much is too much? I said, if it's over $250, I'm not doing it.
Unless your mother-in-law wants them, of course.
I need them or else I got to give up my bingo money.
And we know.
I use my bingo money for the eggs.
Can't have that.
By the way, about an hour from now, we'll hit to today's volley, the other stories you got to know about. So we discussed why eggs got so wildly expensive, and part of that has to do with the bird flu. In fact, the biggest part of it has to do with the bird flu. But Joe brought up a really great point, too, and that is demand is actually up. As expensive as they are.
Consuming more of them.
We're eating more. How is that possible?
Or maybe not even eating, but at least hoarding more of them.
Supply and demand would dictate that if the price goes up, that people will find alternatives.
But we've decided price goes up. We want more.
Now
Either,
I really want them.
To your point, bake more stuff, or my point, maybe just, hey, I don't want to be without.
But imagine if all of a sudden Starbucks started raising the price of their coffee. And they went, you know what? Those Ventis were $6, but now they're going to be $12. Would Starbucks sales go up or down? The assumption is, conventional wisdom is, people would stop drinking Starbucks. It's too expensive.
Please test this for us, Starbucks. We'd love to know.
But we actually have seen this happen in fast food, and it did have this effect. McDonald's prices got high enough that McDonald's all of a sudden went, uh-oh, our sales are starting to decline. And that's when they started introducing the dollar menus back into there, the value menus.
Yeah,
and we started having value wars.
Buy dollar menus, but now it's the value.
The value menu. Yeah. But at least you can say, all right, now I can get a meal at McDonald's for under $5. It might be a small meal, maybe burger, small fries, and a drink, but it's under $5.
Something.
Right, something. So we do see that the principles of supply and demand are working elsewhere, but they don't seem to be working when it comes to eggs. Demand is not likely to come down either because we got Easter coming up. Easter's really late this year, too. Did you see it's like the 20th of April?
420?
Oh.
That's weird.
Huh.
That's
strange.
Easter bunny?
Easter
Blunty?
Hey, man, I'm seeing the Easter bunny over there. Yeah. Oh, man. So, why are the price of eggs problematic more than, say the price of used cars is up? Why are eggs more problematic as far as our interpretation of the economy overall? And I'm going to tell you, it's because we see them every day. We see the eggs every day. And the eggs are a staple. Milk, bread, eggs, price of hamburger.
Gallon of gas.
Gallon of gas. In fact, if I were to say, hey, look, the eggs have just dropped in price. Now eggs are $1.29 a dozen. And milk is $2.25 a gallon, right? You'd be thinking, wow, inflation's totally under control. We're in a really good spot. We're kind of back to where we were pre-pandemic time. But gas is at $6.50. You'd go, oh my God, what's going on with this economy? So when it comes to the staples, we read more into the staples than we read into other things. And the other aspect of the argument that came about last year was the election. So one thing that Trump did a really good job of, and one thing that Biden and Harris did a really poor job of, is making inflation an issue and then seeing it through the eyes of the voter. So Trump said, inflation's out of control. Biden's in charge, man.
Prices are too damn high.
And Biden said, now look at here. Right. And then Harris went, you won't be worrying about the price of eggs when democracy falls apart.
She was talking about like investigating big grocery.
And you can't, right. And that didn't, because what we didn't want to hear, it's kind of like when my wife starts complaining to me. She says, my car is so low on gas. And I don't know what. And I go, why don't you just stop on your way home from work? I don't need you to fix it for me. I just want you to listen. We're kind of like that when it comes to politics.
If you're in power and there's a problem, we blame the people who are in power.
And if you are a challenger, as the case of Trump, he can go, man, that's a problem. Those guys did it, right?
So
we don't even want the solution. We just want to know that we're justified in feeling the way that we do.
So what's Trump doing about price of gas, price of eggs for us now?
Nada. In fact, he was asked about that. Trump was asked, you said number one priority was inflation.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, his quote, when I think of Biden, I think of incompetence and inflation. He was asked about, what are you going to do about the price of groceries? And he said, nothing. He once described it as issue number one shortly after he took the oath of office. Now he says, they all say inflation was the number one issue. I said, I disagree. I talked about inflation too, but how many times can you say that an apple has doubled in cost? Well, every time I go to the grocery store, I'm going to say eggs are too expensive.
Yeah, eggs seem to keep going up in cost.
Going up and up and up. Now, he does say that he wants to lower the price of energy and that there will be a trickle-down effect. One of the things in my example earlier I gave about gas prices going up, and even if everything else is lower, we see gas prices go up and we go, oh, this economy is terrible. However, I will say this. If gas prices go up, it does have a ripple effect because all of a sudden it makes the cost of delivering goods increase. It makes the cost of producing goods increase. So if energy prices come down, one might assume then that the overhead for different companies drops. If the overhead drops, now we can afford to lower our prices, or at least keep our prices the same, and that should curb inflation. The problem is the oil companies are making record profits. And so if Trump says, hey, man, we got to drill, baby, drill, the oil companies, why would they want to invest more money into more drilling if they're already making record profits? What's the incentive for them?
There isn't.
There isn't. He was asked about that, and he said, well, they might have to take a hit. What is interesting is when Trump said, he also said when it comes to inflation, the price of eggs, he says there's not a whole lot I can do about that. You know, he's going to attack the energy thing, but as far as directly addressing grocery prices, he says, I really can't do much about that. So it's kind of a reality that the president doesn't have a lot of clout. He doesn't have a lot of levers he can pull when it comes to adjusting inflation. And at least he can't do it without saying there's going to be fallout in other sectors. So if all of a sudden he starts favoring the farmers, where's that money coming from? Is that coming out of the Defense Department? Is that going to come from tariffs on automobiles from Mexico? And if it comes from tariffs on automobiles from Mexico, does that increase the price of vehicles? And if it increases the price of vehicles, do we see dealerships that start getting hurt? And you see the fallout on all of this.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul
Exactly
situation.
what it is, right. So I think we're starting to see some of the reality of politics come to a head here. But
Trump just knew the game better than Biden and Kamala.
Oh, my gosh, so much better. So much better. So I think that's how it's going to we're going to watch this continue to play out.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.